Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this recap video I'm going to cover a trade we took into the close. It's still an open trade, and that is a quick day trade on the NASDAQ. And I'm going to show you how I use the top hats indicator to set up intraday trend reversals. And again, this one's one that is live right now. So taking a look at what's happening on these daily time frames, they're both daily. And I would basically, normally I call this kind of high gear and I call this low gear. In other words, this is more aggressive while this is more conservative. So the top hats, the little pluses that appear here, are more aggressive than, say, the ones that would appear on this side. Now, we've got both the aggressive and the conservative forming right now on the daily chart of the NQ. And the NQ is one of the three index futures that I am more open to shorting. We actually have long positions in the YM. So it's not often that I'm going to want to be at odds with index futures trades where I'll be long some, short others. Usually I tend to find they'll move together, but I think the tech story, especially led by Apple's weakness, is probably one that would lead me to want to sell NQ more than the ES. And we'll talk about that probably in an upcoming video about how I use the financials, the energies, and say, ETFs like the XLF, XLK, and XLE to trade the ES, but it really is very much about Apple when it comes to the NQ. And that has to do with weighting. So NQ has had a heck of a couple of days, right? I mean, NQ screamed higher to an all-time high. This is not me trying to pick a top. What this is really about is picking levels of fatigue. I'm not looking to dedicate a lot of capital to a kind of collapse. This is more about corrections. This is not about a trend reversal. This is more about a retracement. And that's what the haystack, these little pluses or top hats as they're known, actually do for me. So the way this shapes up is that I'll go to a NQ and I'll take a look across the time frames that I trade, and I'm looking for what I call a wave reversal. Now, the most aggressive would be a wave reversal on the 5, it being the shortest term time frame. So the way we set this up is really twofold. I did not want to short this with the FOMC. So even though this triggered here, it does validate my expectation of lower lows, but I'm not going to take this with the 2 p.m. FOMC meeting minutes, right? So I did not take it there, although it would have been valid, okay? What I'm looking for is this market to basically stay below about 25.91, 65.91, 65.92, that area. So I have my high, I add anywhere from 1 to say 3 points so I can give it a little bit of wiggle, and then I put the short on with this being the stop. Now, as the day continued and when we went into the last 45 minutes of the day, we do a closing session where I'll set up some trades for the Asian session, and we took the trade, but the way we took it is actually by taking advantage of the exhaustion level up in here. So I've still got the short on, and this market's just wiggling in a very acceptable amount of movement. My first downside target is 70, my second is 55. But this whole very short-term time frame trade comes from, again, just a heads up that I might be looking at a quick correction or a quick retracement. And if we continue to move lower, I'm still waiting for the, some decent follow through here. We're still up on the trade. The short was taken up around the 87, 88 area. So I'm still up on the trade. But what I'm really looking for is a move through 70. And then after that, 55. Now, 55, a break through 70 and 55 would start to involve a slightly longer term intraday time frame by way of the 15. And that could actually trigger a much more pronounced correction. I'm not holding my breath for this. I'm not actually counting on it. But if I were to retrace half of the rally today, we'd be at 55. Hence, that is my downside target for the 5 minute. But this all starts with one of my favorite simpler trading indicators, and that is this new top hat indicator, giving me a heads up that we could see a shorter term time frame retracement, and I turned that into an intraday trend break short. I'll see you in the next update.